Alright, so this is going to be part 3 to What If Tanjiro Had Hamon. So with that being said, let's just roll the intro.
Bow in the presence of greatness. Cause right now that has forsaken us. You should be honored by my lateness. That I would even show up to this fake shit. So go ahead, go nuts, go.
So in the last part, we just got done with Tanjiro doing his first mission and him meeting up with Muzan. So with that being said, let's go off of that point and where he meets Muzan. Just like I was said in the second part, Muzan basically is hiding as a human, and this really does shock Tanjiro, but as well he is worried for the safety of their family. But before he could really do anything, this is where Muzan basically hits the back of the neck of a random stranger, and this causes him to become a demon. After that, he tries to attack his former wife, but then Tanjiro does tackle him, but the wife does get a little bit injured. She doesn't turn into a demon, as some people might think, because from our knowledge, only a few demons can actually turn others into demons. Muzan is the more famous and prolific one, you could say, I suppose. So obviously this causes a big scene, and the authorities come to handle the situation. So they try to take Tanjiro off, but Tanjiro warns them that he's the only one that can really hold him down and asks for some restraining equipment, but he is not listened to, and the authorities try to take him off anyways. This is when someone actually comes to help him, and this person uses some sort of weird power. They cut their arms, and this makes everyone kind of see some crazy stuff. And for those who don't know, this person is Tamayo and Yushiro. These are two demons from Tanjiro. Like, Tanjiro can guess that these are two demons as they smell like demons. But Tamayo is very interested, or not really interested, but has a lot of respect for Tanjiro, or even like kind of sympathizes with him or relates to him, because he is trying to save this man, or he still refers to this demon as a person and is trying to help him. So she decides to help Tanjiro in that kind of goal, I suppose. So after this, what happens is that she kind of helps him get the guy out of there, and Tanjiro goes back to pick up Nezuko at the udon shop. So let's cut back a couple minutes earlier to the point to where Muzan is looking at Tanjiro. He notices something quite strange, or not really strange, but something interesting, and that is his earrings. This freaks out Muzan to an unbelievable amount, because what he sees in Tanjiro's earrings is the same earrings of the person who basically took him down so long ago, and these earrings are of that of the person who learned, or the first breath style user, the Breath of the Sun user. So this isn't a spoiler for anyone that really wants to know, because it does show you in the anime who it is. But anyways, I just want to say that for those who might think that's a spoiler, it's not. So yeah. So Muzan is taking all precautions to basically kill this guy. So he sends out two demons to go and find them. One demon that uses kind of balls to kill people, and the other one that uses his sight and arrows to kind of use directions to like mess people up. So yeah, we then cut back to Tanjiro, and where he's at the kind of hideout of Tamayo and Yushiro. So basically they explain their backstories. Tamayo is one of the few demons that can turn other people into demons, but she really hasn't had any success, except for Yushiro, who was turned a demon only 200 years ago. Other than that, they also... This is where basically Tamayo gives or tells Tanjiro that the only way to really turn his sister back is to collect some information for her. She needs the blood of many different demons so that she can make a cure for this. So that's what Tanjiro is after. But before he could really, continue conversation with them, this is where the two demons actually break in and actually destroy the house that they're in. In this kind of fight, Yushiro actually gets injured to the point that his head is basically blown off his body, but this doesn't really matter too much since he's a demon and is slowly recovering. Tanjiro uses a kind of new style at this point. So with the mixture of both his water breath style and Hamon, he actually creates a new style called golden water style. So the reason why I'm calling it this is because sunlight being kind of always or often referred to being gold, water, it kind of makes sense. But if you have a better name for it, you can tell me down below, because I didn't want to just call it water Hamon style. But yeah, so with the mixture of both his Hamon and his breath style, he actually creates a water barrier. So this would be his first style in this new style that he created. So it'd be golden water style first form, and that'd be water barrier. So with this kind of water barrier, this is where the balls wouldn't really hit him. It would just basically kind of be knocked away, or not really knocked away, but kind of stopped in its place, if that makes more sense. So the way I imagine this water barrier is that it's kind of like a continuous kind of waterfall all around Tanjiro. After that, Tanjiro kind of gets through it and goes for the ball demon. This is where she keeps on throwing balls at him, and what happens is that he uses another water style. He uses his kind of piercing attack. So this is the 7th style, drop wave pattern piercing strike curve. So yeah, all these kind of names that I'm getting from are really from the manga and not the anime, so the names might be slightly different if you've seen or only seen the anime. So keep that in mind for any future references that I make to some of the moves or some of the things, because I might get it wrong just based off how the manga was translated. So yeah, after Tanjiro basically pierces the ball, it still kind of hits him in the face. He notices that this isn't really natural, that it can't possibly do that. It has a natural movement, and it actually hit Yushiro in a unnatural way by the angle that it bounced off the wall. So that's what he concludes. And then this is where Yushiro starts to regenerate, and he gets angry at this this woman demon for basically ruining his time with Tamayo. So Tanjiro basically continues to fight the ball demon, but as he's slicing more and more of the projectiles coming at him, it's really not helping, because even if he slices them, they just go back towards him because they're moving unnaturally. So this is where Yushiro basically says, if you could see the arrows, you could basically beat them, so I'll lend you my sight. And this is where he basically throws him a talisman and like basically gets pinned onto his head. This lets him be able to see the different arrows that are coming at him. So this is what Tanjiro does. He uses another water breath style. So when this is happening, this is where Nezuko basically tries to go for the arrow kind of demon. But Tanjiro actually does his 3rd style, which is Dance of the Fast Moving Currents. So this is where he kind of goes in different kind of zigzag patterns around someone or around an area, and this lets him have a lot of mobility while also cutting a lot of things in his way. After that, he gets to the point where he gets close enough to the other demon, which is the ball demon, and what he does is that he does another golden water style. So in this one, I would call it rising and setting slash. So this is obviously based off of the way the sun moves. It rises and then it sets. So basically it's kind of like an arc kind of slash where it goes from one side all the way to the other. So from left to right. So it goes upwards and then it comes down on the other side, slashing downwards. So this is where all the kind of arms that the ball demon would have would get cut off instantly and would start to burn. So I think Muzan would have had enough information on Tanjiro just based off the demons that he's killed, because if you don't know, Muzan is connected to all the demons that he does make into demons, so he's able to kill them as well as basically get information off their bodies when they die. So it would be he would know when people basically are dead. So what happens is that he would notice that they are dying from pretty much the sun, but the sun isn't out yet, so he must assume that it's some sort of either technology or maybe some sort of technique, but he assumes it's some sort of technique that they basically spawn off, and his worst fear is that he thinks it might be the Breath of the Sun user, but he knows no one's really used the Breath of the Sun in so many years. But those earrings that Tanjiro is wearing really got him in shock, or is really scaring him a bit because of just how similar they are to the original user. So yeah. So obviously he would give the information to the people that that thinks has the Breath of the Sun or something similar to it. He would tell them, if you ever get cut by his blades, you should probably remove your head so that you don't end up dying, or or basically remove the part that's burning. But since she has no arms now, what she does is basically she kicks off her own head and she goes flying and she goes into a bush and tries to regenerate. So as this is done, this is where the other kind of demon is still fighting Nezuko. So Tanjiro basically rushes towards the head so he could basically end the demon, as well as trying to get the blood sample. So remember, these are demons that are basically a little bit buff than usual because they are infused with a little bit more blood of Muzan just before the fight, if you remember, or if you remember watching the episode. So by the time Tanjiro actually gets there, she's basically regenerated 2 arms out of her kind of where her neck would have been. So that's kind of how the regeneration works with demons. It's kind of strange, but yeah. So there's basically 2 arms coming out of where the neck should be, and she tries to kind of crawl away almost like a spider in some instances, but Tanjiro uses his 7th style again of his water style, and basically pierces her and takes a sample of the blood. After that, this is where he goes for the arrow demon. So fighting the arrow demon is still pretty hard, since what happens is that he's just able to move the direction of where you're going, and this really does mess up Tanjiro a lot because he needs to have this kind of, I guess, like the representation of the string or the line that basically he has to point out when he could actually cut someone's head off. This keeps getting messed up, or keeps getting cut every time because he keeps on getting moved out of the way, or something is kind of out of place, and that really messes up Tanjiro. So these arrows are actually pushing him back into the sky and onto the ground and really hurting him a lot. So eventually he does get to the realization, or not really realization, but he starts dodging a few of them, and then he uses the water as you would, as a kind of current or kind of flow. So he reverses the flow of the arrows by doing a certain move, and that is his 2nd style, water wheel, but this is actually a modified version. So instead of going kind of vertical that he normally does, he goes horizontal, and this kind of changes the flow of the arrows and goes towards the demon. So Tanjiro at this point is actually close enough to the demon to actually cut off his head, and this basically does what I said, cuts off his head, and then he's on the ground. But instead of taking his defeat lightly, or kind of in somewhat despair, instead of that, the arrow demon is actually trying to take Tanjiro with him. So all you see is a bunch of arrows in Tanjiro. So he starts getting whoosh, or kind of pulled in every kind of different direction, and Tanjiro actually has to use a bunch of different styles to basically break the fall. So what he does is that when he's about to land, he uses a eighth style with the waterfall to break the fall, and then he uses current to kind of get out of, or kind of reduce the direction that's going in some way and others, and that's what he keeps on doing. But at the end of it, he does still have a lot of broken bones and kind of a broken ribs because of that. So after that, this is where he would get or I don't think he actually gets the sample of the blood this time, just because he wasn't able to get to it close enough because of his broken bones. Alright, so this is going to be the end of the video. If you made it to the end of the video, please comment down CS so I know you support the channel. So with that being said, if you like this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more of these videos, please subscribe. And if you want to support me in other ways, you can go to my Patreon. That will be a link in the description. Or you could go to patreon.com/ComicSansTheMan Hernandez, or not Hernandez, scratch that part. But anyways, you could go there, and all you need to do is pledge $1 a month, and then you could get the videos early, as well as getting into these monthly raffles, in where I pick one person from each tier to basically get a chance to have a drawing by me. So obviously I'll be able to draw almost anything you want. There'll be some restrictions on what I will not do, but pretty much most things are acceptable. So with that being said, let's go over our patrons over on Patreon. So in our gold tier, we have Isaiah Prez, Alan James, Lyco, and the Pirate King. In our platinum tier, we have Pandaman 8, and yeah. So with that being said, if you want to support my channel that way, you could go and pledge to my Patreon. If you want to support my channel in other ways, then you can just subscribe to the channel and like the videos, because obviously you don't have to pledge any money to me. I wouldn't want to make it seem like you're forced to, or even anything like that, because these videos will be uploaded to YouTube eventually, or really be public, eventually, within like a day or two of being uploaded to Patreon. So with that being said, this is gonna be the end of the video. Like I said, if you made it to the end of the video, please comment down CS so I know you support the channel. So with that being said, this is gonna be the video. So yeah.